Alright, hi everyone. So hopefully the sound will be better now, but I guess we'll find out. Um, so in this video I wanted to talk about or ask what is the substance or the fabric of experiencing? As an invitation to open attention to that which is simply here. So with a question like that, what is the fabric of this experience? There can be potentially a seeming distance from immediacy, a seeming subtly moving away from that which is simply here into a description or a kind of conceptual rumination. Or there can be an opening of attention to that which is already here, the substance of this experience directly. And the value in this is to highlight or notice the difference between those two modes of experience. Or to notice how the mind has the ability to, with the focus on thoughts, seem to distance us from that which is simply and undeniably just here. So where does the attention go when that question is asked? What is this fabric of experiencing? How does the attention open up? How does the attention move? So if there's a description or a naming or a labeling or a series of thoughts, or kind of needed to understand or conclude or comprehend, we can simply notice something. It can be anything in our experience that's simply undeniably just here, that's before description, that's too immediate to be related to. So for example, the appearance of a world as it is right in front of us, the sound in the environment, the sensation of breath, the sensation of the feet on the ground, the heart beating. And in that, there's a relaxing of attention. It's not a focusing of attention, really, but it's a relaxing of the focus on thoughts. opening to that which is already here, which doesn't need to be caused or created or understood, but there's a directness in it, and very much an opening, a relaxing into that directness. If the momentum of thought is strong, it may feel like a struggle, like a caused shifting of attention, or an kind of efforting attempt to focus attention into that which is simply here, the senses. The immediate, so to speak, physical sensory experience of being alive. But it can become much more easy through repetition on one level, but on another level, a simple opening that's always now. And a seeing in this instant what's happening when this distance is created, these descriptions seem necessary. The understanding seems like it's required. There's a movement into seemingly focusing into thinking, into a mental activity. And that just simply needs to be noticed for what it is. That there is thinking, there is a thought. And it's kind of like that momentum just falls out of it and is replaced with that which is already here. And there can be a direction or a relaxing deeper and deeper into the immediacy of this experience as it already is, rather than a pulling back to a comprehending view or a subjective position that has a relationship with experience, a relationship with the senses. So then there's something incredibly interesting about this experience of immediacy, something completely mysterious or impossible, something that can never be understood, but doesn't need to, because the understanding comes after, is added to. And this is what I mean by the investigation, the getting closer to the fabric of experience. So rather than attention moving around in a space of thought, attention can fall deeper and deeper into, or relax into, the senses, the direct experience that's not framed or filtered by a mental process. Strangely, that doesn't exclude the thoughts, because the experience of thinking, the experience of the substance of thought, only happens directly. The fabric of that experience of thinking is none other than the fabric of the seeing, the hearing, the sensing. But something happens in that sense that seems to separate it from the totality of experiencing, and then separate up the senses and objects within the senses. But that only ever happens now. It creates this distance, this separation, and it seems to do that automatically. But there's something about the, so to speak, physicality of this experience that may begin as something subtle or elusive, but can deepen, that is not of that world, of the world of this and that. And by investigating this fabric of experiencing, that can become more and more obvious. So I can give some descriptions, some I'm going to describe it as an artistic poem. Um, Not a description about the way something is objectively, but an artistic expression that is in honor of this directness that's here. So the appearance, the seen world, we could name its fabric, its substance. We could call it awareness or presence, but really that doesn't touch it. That's something that's added to it as a mental process, a description. But it's simply here. It just is already. So there's an appearance of a multitude of forms, an appearance of a separate out there. But the substance, the fabric of that experience remains common across all of it. It doesn't need to be named or understood. It's simply already so. It doesn't need to be caused or created. It is the experience already, and always is, always was. The forms move and change, so the appearance, the fabric transforms, moves and changes, but at the same time doesn't move, doesn't change, paradoxically. There seems to be something here that's monitoring, tracking that, observing that, to put it into a context, to understand it, to kind of orient this character within it. But that's a mental process, ultimately made of the same fabric, but something happening within that comes after is added to, creates a, or assumes a distance, a seeming delay. There's an effort involved in it. So this appearance, so it's seen, the seeing sense, can seem to be its own thing in contrast to the sound. As in, there is seeing, there is sound, and those are obviously distinct from each other as senses. But if you open to the substance of the seen, and then open that further to the substance, the fabric of the sound, there's something that's common that they share across both senses. Again, we don't need to label it awareness or presence or consciousness or whatever. It's just a noticing that their fabric is simply here. It already is. It's happening on its own. So just like the objects in the visual sense, the objects in the space of sound are united by their fabric, their substance, as in it's just sound, as in it's just what's seen. And we can notice when the thought appears, directly its fabric, its substance is the same. It's just simply what's appearing. We can extend this to the sensing, the sensation in the body, the breath, the heartbeat. And although it can start off subtly, what becomes more and more obvious is this directness, this immediacy, this which I'm calling in an artistic way, in a poetic way, the fabric of experiencing. It's just simply present, as in you could say its substance is presence, awareness, but again, we don't need to conclude, because the conclusion only appears as just one thought within its own world of this and that, of duality, of opposites. But there's something about the senses being as they are that completely transcends these opposites, these descriptions, completely transcends understanding altogether, because it doesn't need to be understood. So then throughout this, if you're doing this, or if you do this kind of inquiry, investigation, the important part about it is that there is a directness, a recognition ongoing of this directness that's just simply here. That comes before the knowing, the understanding. And then again, there's a recognition as it happens now of this kind of contraction of attention as it kind of pulls away from or separates or creates a distance from this immediacy that's clearly just here. This presence just as it is, without the need for something here to know it or to recognize it or to understand it. It's clearly paradoxical. It's clearly beyond the reaches of a thought. But then there can be this habitual movement of thought that takes a position and relates to it, that tries to know it or understand it, to get something out of it, or to find a position within it, or to identify it and label it. And noticing that that's a process that's added to this. It's a process of mind. It's a complexity. It's not essential to this directness. And when that's noticed, so to speak, as a thought that's simply appearing as this fabric, again, there's a relaxing further into this directness, this immediacy. And we can go really deeply into it if we use this as a meditation. Such that the world of form disappears and all there is its substance, its fabric. But again, as a meditation, that's conditional. To truly relax into this, there has to be a seeing that the thoughts aren't separate or distinct from this substance, are made of it too. Okay. Anyway, that'll have to do for now, and talk